Welcome to episode number 117 of Success Superstars and my special guest, Julian Jackson from the San Antonio, Texas market. Julian, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Mark. I appreciate you inviting me. Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome. And I think it's your second appearance on the show, so congratulations.
Oh, well, thanks again. Yeah, it definitely is my second appearance.
You know, but since the last time we've talked, a lot has changed and we're going through the COVID-19 crisis. We're in lockdown at the moment. And how has that impacted you personally and in your business?
Well, definitely had to make some changes, and we're sympathetic to the clients that we work with, and obviously the agents have to do some things that are a little different. But overall, it was just a matter of staying focused and replacing some of our other habits with newer ones that we thought were good, not necessarily replacing habits with nothing. So
Right.
That was kind of the focus for the team.
So obviously it's you plus four, and you all have a goal of serving over 80 to 100 families this year, either buy, sell, or invest in real estate. That's a big goal.
It is.
But,
Yeah.
but obviously you're adaptable and you've adapted quickly. Does that come naturally to you as a leader, or have you had to learn how to adapt by going through prior crisis?
Well, obviously a lot of crisis. I mean, there's certain things like charisma that leaders may have, but you learn a lot through experience as well. Sometimes we are faced with certain things, and the motivation comes from different sources, and that's fine. But in the end, it's experience that teaches you the best about how to lead and refine your leadership skills.
Yeah. Now, for you and the team, have you found that being in a routine is more important at this time or less important?
It's way more important. You literally have to think of all the stuff that you were doing in the past and learn how to, if you're going to break the habits, as I mentioned, what are you going to replace those habits with? I mean, if your routine was to get up and do, certain things between 8 and 11 in the morning, you're not going to be able to do those things now if you were going out
Right.
looking at homes. So what do you replace that with? Do you just get up and, kind of mope around, or are you thinking of maybe a new source of marketing? So we had to kind of change our marketing strategy based on, okay, we were getting a lot of leads in before, but they're not coming in the same way anymore. What are we going to do to replace those?
Well, and hopefully they're getting up for our 8 a.m. quarantine release series. Every morning
Yeah.
we're hosting a quick 15-minute morning motivation talk at 8 a.m.
Yep.
So hopefully they're listening in on that. Now, one of the things you mentioned as we were talking before the show, you're now having obviously to do a lot more virtually and do a lot more digitally, but you said something that you're listening to each client's unique need. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, every client's different. So when we realized that there was going to be some changes made, a lot of the advice, or at least the guidance from the board, was, yeah, we are definitely essential, but there was some confusion. So a lot of people just kind of held off and waited to see what was going to happen. And we said, no, let's just keep moving until they tell us we are not essential. And thank goodness they didn't say that. So with each client, we realized, all right, well, certain people are going to be affected differently, just like the agents are affected differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm single, and I don't spend time with a whole lot of people around me on a regular basis. So the way I get treated may be different than the way someone who has an entire family around them. Some people are older, some are younger, some have kids, and so we have to be cognizant of all those different things. And so what we did was basically start, you have to really survey the clients now, find out what their exact needs are before you start going out and showing homes. So in some cases it was, all right, if we can do a virtual open house for you or a virtual showing for you, we'll do that. If we need to do FaceTime, we can do that for you. If you'd rather us go do a video of these homes for you first, and then let you know after you narrow it down to 3 or 4, only open doors for those that you really think are important. We also looked at, when we do the showing time span, we wind it out to about an hour. Normally it was 45 minutes, maybe 30 to 45 minutes, but we expanded to an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, depending on the distances. But that way we had more time to be in and out of the house before someone else who was going to schedule it was able to get there and maybe, have a conflict with us crossing paths.
Yeah, the preparation to get cleaned up and that kind of stuff. Now, let's talk about lead generation for a minute. Obviously, you're an expert and have the fundamentals. You've mastered KV Core, which is a fundamental tool here at JPAR. But tell us, I know you're doing some unique things with virtual open houses. You're doing some unique things with your listings. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. When it comes down to the open houses, I mean, it would seem kind of boring. The typical open house, if you go to it, there's always somebody coming in, or at least you're waiting. You can invite lenders to sponsor it, all different types of things. So what we did, because if we just film an open house, it's going to be boring. You
Right.
go in, you show them the house. So what we did is we started inviting, one guest, maybe two, typically one, and we just kind of do an interview with that person. So if it's a lender, they come in, we first kind of tour the house. Hey, let's take a look at this house. But if you have any lending questions while we're going through this house during the tour, fire these questions off Facebook Live, send them to us to this number, send them to us via this email, and we'll reach out to you and tell you how you can get financing, zero money down, all closing costs paid, what this builder is typically offering. And we've coordinated with quite a few builders, and they will let us go in some of their standing inventory as long as there's only us and one other person. They obviously don't want to sponsor, a large open house.
Yeah, no, well, and we can't, and we shouldn't, to be responsible, we shouldn't, but so you're doing some Facebook Lives, maybe with a guest, maybe it's a lender, and right now lenders are super important for everyone to understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you talked about listing. Some of the things we do, obviously with KV Core, you just have to get in the mindset of thinking, well, it's going to be difficult to get listings in some sense, unless you're really good on the phones with expired. Some of these folks are going to probably be ready to put their homes on the market at a pretty decent price, but some of them are just going to be, I don't want people in my home. So you have to think of different ways to do that. So in that sense, how do we get listings on the market? Well, KV Core has some of the best tools out there. We got listings, I think you mentioned to me, like over 2,000 as a brokerage, but even just in an office, I found some folks who were like, just market everything I got, and I'd list all 10 of their properties using KV Core. And think about it, treat that like they're your listings. So when people call, you take the phone calls, and then you try to figure out how to get more buyers than just that one house. I like to do the 2 for 1, sometimes 3 for 1 off of every listing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we need to challenge our assumptions. Last week in San Antonio, 880 new listings came on the market last week. So we have to challenge ourselves in the audience. If it's not you, then who?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I believe in DFW there were 2,400 listings taken last week. So yeah. people, even though we're going through the coronavirus in this lockdown, people still have birth, death, divorce, financial relocations. A lot of those essential things of life are still going on, and we're the folks to help them transition through those things.
Absolutely.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's so important now to find out what their needs are, whether it's sellers or buyers. You really got to dig deep and find out what their motivation is, ask the type of questions that show true concern. One of the things I love to teach my guys is when you're trying to solve problems in real estate, it's not always going to be a real estate problem. You just got to take care of your clients, show them that you care, show them that you have the interest in helping them no matter what it is. And you'll be surprised. They'll share their whole life story with you. And in that story, they're telling you how to help them sell their house.
Yeah. Isn't it ironic that it takes something like what we're going through for us to get back to the basics
right.
of relationships?
Yep, that's absolutely right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so with that, as we wrap up this episode number 117, any final words that you'd like to share with the audience? Any words of wisdom, anything that's helped you go from 0 to serving 100 families a year, buy, sell, or invest?
Well, I mean, to me, as you probably heard me say before, I mean, to me, it's always about making excuses or making it happen. It's the choice is yours. So, when there's always going to be issues out there, challenges out there. Instead of looking at them as problems, how about look for the opportunity within that? If you treat your clients that way and you look at like the way the market is, there's always that silver lining. And if you spend your time searching for that silver lining and solving people's problems, you're never going to be out of work. You're always going to have something to do. And then, we do what we do best in real estate, and that's serve the community.
Yeah, for sure. Serve the community, serve the client. One of my favorite quotes is, don't let what you can't do get in the way of what you can do.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. Love it.
All right, my friend, appreciate you. Grateful for you. We'll see you in San Antonio soon. I can't wait to get back to that amazing city.
Oh, yeah.
And in the meantime, for our audience, be safe, be smart, and stay in inspired action. We'll see you soon on another episode of Success Superstars.